My name is Robert Wolfe. I'm a retired lieutenant for the Spinax. I think, you know, my Pearl Harbor was our first run. Okay, basically we make a run, take a couple weeks to get to Pearl Harbor. I mean, everybody said, oh, it's only just, you know, short distance away. You can be on there in 4 hours on a plane. Well, it takes you 2 weeks on with the diesel boat. Okay, and then so Pearl Harbor was there. Interesting. We had as because we looked like an old World War II submarine. They were filming the movie Tar Tor. I don't know if you've heard anybody talk about that before, but you know, they were. If you looked at the movie, right at the beginning, right when the Japanese come in and start strafing, you know, and it shows the two guys walking back to put up colors on the submarine, you'll see one other guy jumps over. So we were, you know, the submarine was part of that movie while we were there. It was kind of interesting to see that. But Chinhae was, you know, on our way to Chinhae. Korea was our next stop. I completed my qualifications, and so they have a indoctrination thing where you drink your dolphins, and you know, and that's kind of culminates everything that's supposed to happen. I did that in Chinhae, and I don't remember getting back to the submarine, but everything was okay. I went out of there. But the coolest port, I think, pulling into was Hong Kong. I thought Hong Kong was quite interesting to pull in and see, you know, the British Navy ships, well, it's still in British rule, and U.S., and to see that. But our ports of call, I mean, pulling into Busan, Korea, and to see ships being unloaded with big cranes, pallets dropped down, and men coming up and picking these big bags of rice up and walking them down and loading the truck. I don't understand why men had to do that. I mean, they could have had a machine do that, but a lot of work. A lot of people that do a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, I can remember we pulled into Manila. Well, I'm going to say that's a different submarine, so they all meld together at times. But yeah, we had good rapport with the Brits, with the British, and also with the Australians. We would tie up next to each other, or we tied up, you know, on the pier, and you know, we would share. You know, we'd get together, we'd share, we'd go and have a drink on the beach, come back and go to the British ship. And it was a wet ship where you could have a drink on the ship, and then, you know, and we'd swap hats, swap pins, and it was a very good rapport with it. So typically we were on 4 to 8 watch, you know, so you'd be on 4, off 8. I was initially I was in lookouts. I would be up on lookout watch before I was qualified. After I was qualified, I would be doing sonar, radar, and ESM. Okay, so I'd be, you know, listening on the sonar stack, or I'd be up on the conning tower on the radar plotting tracks, picking up contacts, or on ESM listening for, you know, we go into areas where we need to try to map where possible, you know, like missile radars or what type of radars or long range radars, and you could be able to detect and classify them, you know, identify them, and, you know, map them out. So those are things I would be doing. We had the leading petty officer in the weapons gang. Okay, and we would be assigned as a fire control technician. You know, I'm responsible for the weapon system to make sure that it's operational, make sure that, you know, it does the, you know, the calculations are correct, and so that when we do launch torpedoes, the torpedo's going to go where it's supposed to be. So as fire control technician, we reported to the weapons department. Okay, and so the weapons department was included in the fire control, torpedo, and deck. Okay, so deck would be people making sure that the boatswain's mates, okay, we may have some boatswain's mates on board, torpedo men, and so I reported to my senior petty officer for the fire control, and he reported to the our senior enlisted, it might have been, it was a chief petty officer, torpedo man, and he was our senior enlisted guy for the weapon gang, and he would report then to our lieutenant, which was the weapons officer. We looked out for each other. I mean, the camaraderie was, the rapport was, palatable. You could just feel it. The group was very tight knit. I could see the engine men and the auxiliary men and the electricians. They weren't really involved in any idea where in the heck they are in the middle of the ocean, right? But as a radar operator or sonar or ESM, you kind of you have to know where you're at. You have to know. So we were kind of more keyed into what was going on than most of the other crew, and people would ask questions and stuff, and we could communicate some things, and we couldn't communicate some things.